Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the No Suit Survival series. I'm going to be experimenting with releasing this on weekends instead of during the week. I've basically just been releasing during the week because it's the day after I do the recording, so the only day I really get to do recording when I'm by myself. So what I'll do is I'll just do the recording and then I'll release on the weekend and see what people think. You can let me know in the comments if that's good for you or not. I know I've only got a couple viewers, but yeah, whatever works. So I've been doing some thinking on what I want for my atmospheric welding ship, and I am going to go with this rotating arm design. However, because of the engineer model here, he's got his tools in his right hand, so I want to switch that welding arm over onto the right hand side, but I'm going to go with a design quite similar to this. So first of all, I'm just going to grind this whole thing down, and then I'm going to rebuild another new one from the ashes, and we'll get sort of an asymmetrical design going where we've got a welding arm on one side and a bunch of thrusters on the other, and then like the battery supply pack out the back is what I'm planning. So I'll see you guys in a bit once I've just grinded this down and then gotten started on the new one, and then once I've got that all ready we can start placing the blocks for our base. There we go, so we're all grinded down, and I've just left the cargo container here, so that's got all the parts in it that was from that. Now I do need to get some new power cells because I can't recycle them, so just while I'm doing this build I'm going to set up my assemblers to produce we'll just do 100 power cells, and I'll also make sure I've got plenty of steel plate for the upcoming build. I'll just check how much iron I have in storage. Yeah, I've got 100,000. I've got an absolute crap ton of resources to go through. So let's just set up some base amounts. Or just double, do something like that. I should have one assembler on cooperative. Yes, okay. So they'll be working through that in the meantime. And I believe this should have plenty of power in its batteries. Yeah, no problem. I mean, the hydrogen engine is on, you can see it spinning away there. So we're going to start with our landing gear again. And I'll just build it out back this way. Come over here, so I could stand on a scaffold. So the lowest part here, oh, that scaffold is going to be in the way of what I'm building, so I'm just going to go out to here instead. So the lowest part on this is the connector, so we can start with that. And then on top of that we have our cargo container, which is there. Now this is, the orientation for this is very important, so I need a large cargo port down and one to the right, and I'm also going to have one either on top. So this other large cargo conveyor port is probably where I'll put the oxygen tank if I need to in the future, so I'm going to put it on the top here, just so if I need to in the future I can retroactively just plonk it on the top there. So then we've got our conveyor ports here. Let me expand this little platform a little bit. I'll make sure I've got everything I need to build this. So we've got that, and then I need to have some conveyor ports for the cockpit. Should be central, and I'm going to go with the industrial cockpit because that has some nicer positioned, more usefully positioned LCD screens. So I'm going to need to move it up just a bit, so it's sort of like this. And I believe I need a attachment point down here just to even place it, because the block is kind of large and cumbersome. So I could just put a cockpit here on these ones, but I'm going to go with the industrial. And I think I should be able to place it like that, and it should be hooked up. So for the time being, I'm just going to use this top port here for a air vent. I've got one. Where are we? Air vents, there we go. Just going to put one here. So that'll supply me with oxygen. I can put an oxygen tank on top there in the future. Now, the most important part here is the rotor, which I'm going to place the battery first, maybe? No, I'll do the rotors, but I won't put the instruments and conveyor ports on that before I put power in it, so I can keep it in one place, essentially. We don't want it flopping all over the place, because it hasn't got any juice in it. So we've got that, and then the main lifting thrust of this vehicle is going to come from a set of large atmospheric thrusters. So the reason we're going with large atmospherics, I believe, is because of their thrust to weight ratio, although one large thruster weighs 3,000 kilograms and this is 700. So to get the same amount of force, it has 576 kilonewtons in the large one, and then we have 96 kilonewtons, so somewhere around 6 atmos. Small atmos is the same as one large one, but that would be about 3,600 kilograms, so slightly heavier than a large atmo, but it would be a smaller profile. So if I was to place them, I would do something like this. So that would be like the main upwards thrust, and then I'd put a set of 6 on here. I don't know if there's an attachment point here or not. Probably have to place one, but I could place another 6 along here and then on the front. I'm just wondering if that would look best or not. It probably look a little bit stumpy, whereas these are nice and powerful looking. So I reckon I'm going to go with large, and they are just slightly better for thrust efficiency if we're going by weight. And yeah, I basically want to get as much thrust to weight ratio on this thing as I can, so I can fill it with as many components as possible before it runs out of upwards force. So I need to make some attachment points for the other thrusters. Probably best way of doing that is something like this. We'll have a point there, and then something like that. So that should be the same, yep. And then we've got our thrusters, so can we place them on that? No, I need to go out one more. On with the core structure. I think. Place it. Yep, there we go. And like that. So that's our main upwards, forwards, and backwards thrust. Just going to add myself a little bit more room here. So we've got our thrusters, our main thrusters, then on the back here we need our battery pack. And the best way, what's going to look nicest here? Probably just some I could place them. Could even place like 3. So one where these blocks are, then what, another one here, whatever, and then one on top of that. So we'd have like one here, and then another there. So if I come and extend this scaffold like so, should be able to remove these blocks here and then place them on the last battery, because I'm definitely going to need like at least 3 batteries to power this whole thing. Can I fit that in there? Yes. So we've got 3 batteries like that. Is that what I want? Yeah. Seems pretty good. I need to keep it as small as possible, ideally, because I'm sort of going to be moving it around in somewhat tight areas, so places I can't reach by hand, but they will probably still be outdoors, so yeah. The other way is just doing like battery, and then like one on top, so it's a bit longer out the back. I have had some problems in the past of like scraping batteries on the ground when I'm trying to connect to things if I place them low like that. I could just place another one here, and then I could put maybe some thrusters in here underneath, so I've got like some left and right. I think I actually prefer that, and it gives it a little bit more of a craftable shape. I can sort of make it a bit more angular. Now, do I want it there, or so I could have it like slope up as a sort of tail, almost like a helicopter, or I can have it like come down. So I think I'm going to have it slope up. So we're going to go with that. Where's my batteries? We're going to go like that. And then I can have some curved armor coming through here, and then I'll have thrusters. So I'm probably going to need a little bit more upwards thrust, just on either side. So a good spot for those is
energy low.
Maybe even in this spot here. Can I place them over? I could if I put some extra armor there, but then it'd be in the way of, yeah, the thrusters that I want to put side to side. So I want to place some like this. Probably want, yeah, an absolute bare minimum of 3. Just need an attachment point there, I think. Place these to keep me going side to side. I could even put some on the top perhaps, or maybe some in here. It's an extra spot I could use. I don't mind that necessarily. So I could place 2 in here, and 1 like this. So we've got 4 now, and that should do quite nicely, I think. So then all I need is a gyroscope. I'm going to use a programmable block so I can show some display info on the cockpit, so like how much thrust we have and whatnot. So the first thing to build is these batteries. So let me just go grab some of those power cells that we've been building. Already carry a full battery's worth. And then we can place our welding arm. I will need to do this rotor first. Although I don't need another battery, thank you very much. Surely I've got a small, large tube in here. No. Guess not. Alright, so we're going to use a conveyor here. and
energy critical.
Place it like this. Do I have the components for this? What are we missing? Metal grids, bulletproof glass, okay. So I can just hop in that for some power. Rather than needing to go and run up to my survival kit. Yeah, so as you can see, even without needing to move the mouse, like normally with the other cockpit you would need to look down to see the control screens, but the industrial cockpit has all the screens nicely in view here. Although I am a massive fan of getting rid of this light blue background because I always don't like that. I like having something a little bit more mellow, less in your face, so I'm going to just to start off with, we're going to darken all of these. Now we've got something a little bit more pleasant to look at. Okay, so now we've got all our power back, and to build that I'm going to need to grind down this cargo container here, but that's alright. Now, to pipe up to our welder and grinder, I could use medium cargo containers, or I could just use these conveyor tubes. And the reason I'm going to go with the conveyor tubes instead of medium cargo containers is I don't like having lots of different cargo containers on welding ships. I like just putting everything in one nice, easy to access cargo container, so I can just quickly grab a whole bunch of components and then I know exactly how much I've got in the container. So where is my grinder? Just need this tool. So we're going to have a welder and a grinder. And we'll be able to cycle between the two, and there should be plenty of clearance so we can see what we're doing. The perspective is a little bit janky. As you can see, like, the tip protrudes quite a bit in front of the industrial cockpit, but if you're looking from inside it looks like it's almost side on. It's a bit confusing, but I do like how this is coming along so far. I could definitely fit some extra stuff in here, maybe even some extra upwards atmospheric thrusters or some small batteries perhaps. I don't know, we'll see how much power we're running with when this whole thing is done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld up everything as it is so far, and then I will get back to you. Yeah. That Serenity X is getting pretty close. Slightly unnerving. Now, one idea I had is actually bringing our fighter back from our base, so I should be able to fly that from its remote control all the way up here. I'll see if I can even connect to it from here. It's this small grid, static grid. Is this the fighter here? What is this grid? This is the salamander. Why doesn't it have any... Oh, right, because, yeah, I haven't set it up from the cockpit, have I? But I can fly it. So all I would need is the camera, connector, it's got lights on it, and I'll just make sure that the batteries are on auto. Add these into that group as well. And tanks are full. Gyroscopes are on. So let me go here. Put all our lights on. Oh, it wasn't even docked anyway. Okay. So let's go up to about 400 meters. Yeah, I really should have put a spotlight on this thing. I do have spotlights, yeah. There we go. So that should be good to go, and the thruster shouldn't be consuming anything, so if we go to a tank... Yeah, we're all good. So I can just sit there. Now, I have finished this cargo container, but I don't have full access to it. Can I reach through? No. Ah, whatever. Let's see how many of these things we can build. I did pull a bunch of components out of that big old Achilles over there. Yep, oh, I can build these. Nice. Oh, and that's like all the components I was holding. Excellent. Those are done, that's done, so it's just this like internal conveyoring and whatnot, which I'm going to need to get at from above, I reckon, because I have somewhat foolishly built that into it. I'll place a block here. Okay. So what I mean is some of the conveyoring is underneath all this stuff here. Like that one. And I can reach them all. That's all cool. So I'm just gonna grind this down and then reload everything back up on a new one. And then I'll get started on the base. Promise. This time for sure. This episode will do it. I'll start getting distracted by these welding. Okay, so where we are at is we've got all of the stuff that I've placed welded up. Now I'm just adding the extra bits and bobs. So I needed to move this thrust over to one side because it was actually in this block here, so it was a bit asymmetrical. Not that there's anything wrong with a bit of asymmetry in a build, but now we're up to the point of placing other utility stuff. So I've got a programmable block here that's going to run our script to control the cockpit screens, and I want to place some gyroscopes. So where I reckon I'm going to need like probably 2. But, you know... No, I will need at least 2 when I... for the... Okay, because one of the parts of the script is it actually lets you lock the horizon, sort of, so to speak, of the ship, so you can move around in like a perfectly level amount, even while spinning, where, like, if anyone here has played Space Engineers before and you like to try to turn to the right, your ship will sort of like angle down almost as you go around, or like up, so the orientation is very hard to keep perfectly level. So actually that is an interesting connection point there. Why can I place one there? Did not know that the cargo container had a slot like that. Interesting. This might be a good spot for some of the new blocks. So if I go industrial, what can I place here? I've got the beam blocks. Have I got them on my hotbar somewhere? A beam. I'll put that somewhere in here. Might be an interesting little spot for something like that. I've got like a... Yeah, that works. I like that. What else have we got? We've got slopes. A rounded one. That's also pretty cool. 2x1 base. Place it like that. Oh, actually, I quite like that. Tip. Let's go with the base here. Is that? Oh, it's just one still. So, oh, that's right. These new beam blocks, they require the exact same amount of materials as a small armor piece. Okay, so first things first, let's set up the script. So the script we're going to be using today is actually Excavos. And normally, you would use this on a a mining ship. But I really like... let's see, boss, come on. Let's just load up all our blueprint. Oh, there we go. Excavos. So we go to the Steam page for that, it actually has the exact thing that you need to put in your cockpit, the custom data, just to make it all work properly. So let's grab this text. So we just go into our industrial cockpit custom data, type in all of this, and instead of cargo all, we're going to go with cargo everything. The enable immersion is for what boots the screens up. So if we hit recompile, should see it start up. There we go. So now we have a screen here which can show the lifting thrust. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to chuck some stuff into our cargo container, just so we can see. See that top left screen there will show all of the components that we've got in storage. Now, as you can see, that blinking light there is our lifting thrusters. So if we go to our up, the thrusters labeled up, and we add them to a group called lift thrusters, that should be recognized, and there we go. So that lifting thrust is going to tell us how much of our thrust is being used when we are full of components. So we'll be able to tell visually, easy peasy, if we've got too much stuff in here or not. Should be fine unless we're loading up on steel plates, as that is generally the heaviest component. I'm pretty sure that you can do like by volume. So the other thing is the rotor. Now we want to set it so that it can switch tools. So what we're going to do is we're going to set, it doesn't matter which one we do, so if we just go lower limit as 0 and the upper limit as 180, so now when we hit a movement button, it'll just switch around. So all I'm going to do is, we're ready to go, so we can chop off all this support here now. Are you drifting down, or is that? Yeah, okay. So we're getting the... I assume this is a bug with the new patch. So let me just save and quit, and that fixed it last time. So let's just do that. Okay, so we have reloaded our world. Now let's see if we can hover normally. There we go. So now we're hovering normally. I needed to do that so that I can do some testing on, yeah, battery output is fine for all of our lift. Excellent. So what I'm going to do now is, how much time are we doing? 37 minutes, that's fine. So let's set up on our toolbar all our things. So we've got our welder, so we need to go to block tools, welder, grinder. You know what, I'll put on a toggle for them as well, so I don't have to hold the button down. Sure, why not? Then we want our rotor. We need a rotor lock and a reverse button. Groups. We want our batteries to have a recharge on and off. Connector. And I'll probably fit in like a downwards facing camera, maybe, somewhere. Do I need it? I don't know. Well, we'll keep that slot for whatever else that we're going to put in here. So what we're going to do is we need to go into our rotor. I think take the lock off. We're going to add some torque here, and we should be able to spin it around. Excellent. So now we're able to switch tools with a simple press of a button. And so we've got, you can see here our lifting thrust. We've got 35%. And the reason I've got these large thrusters so that I can, like, forwards and backwards, is so that I can pitch up and down like this to these kind of pretty extreme angles for doing construction and not have to worry about that. Now that is a little bit too freely moving, but it'll be alright when we've got components in here. So we're going to switch to our grinder and we're going to rotate it around and come down, and we're going to finish grinding off all of these parts here. So let's turn our grinder on to the toggle and just have at it. You can see from the first person view here. See, like, you can tell quite easily from the third person view, I'm like on the atmospheric thruster, and then now I'm on the cargo container, but it's quite difficult to see in first person. So I can understand why some people, oh dear, why some people put their grinders on like hinges, or their block tools on hinges, so that they can point them forwards a little bit to see better. But should be able to get that. You know, it's getting a bit too close to my salamander there, so I'm just not going to worry about that. But that is all we need. So we've got 90 steel plates here, so what we're going to do is we're going to go up to our main dock here, and we're going to pick up a bunch of components. So between episodes I'll add a bunch of detailing to this, make it look pretty, but that is the absolute core essential everything that we need. And while I'm here, let's just set these batteries to recharge for a bit. So we go into our inventory, to our ship here, and then we have the Achilles cargo container. So what we're not going to need is a bunch of this stuff. These are like core building components, so we'll grab some of them, and now I can thankfully carry a whole lot more than my normal person would. So building large cargo containers with tons of large steel tubes and whatnot is going to be a lot easier. So it'll be interesting to see how much, is that based on battery charge? So if I undock, so yeah, we can see that I have 60% of the lifting thrust used. So what I can do is put in even more stuff. So how many steel plates do you reckon? Let's increase the mass by 10,000 kilograms. Can we lift with that? Oh, we can, easy peasy. Did I put them in the right cargo container? Large cargo. Yeah, that seems fine. We're a lot heavier, that's for sure. It's still moving a bit too quickly for my taste, so I'm going to actually go into these gyroscopes, turn them down to about 75%. That feels a little bit nicer. So we can come over to our new area. Now we've got plenty of speed as well, thanks to the large thrusters. So we have all of this area to work with. I might do some of the placing by hand to start with. Got 2 days of power on board. Excellent. And we're just going to grab out all these steel plates, so we can let's go cargo, and we can just chuck everything in here. So we're going to need some steel plates, some of these, some of these, some of these, and the rest is just steel plate. Okay, so we've got a whole bunch of stuff. Now, how do we want to go about setting up our base here? What I have in mind is for this main area here, like you see where the snow has this basically square area, I'm thinking about in here we have a landing platform, so a platform that goes up and down on a piston down to the hangar that's going to be, you know, I don't know, 10, 20 meters down there, facing out into the mountainside, so we can fly in vehicles that way, and then we're going to have a large interior hangar in this underground area. Now I want to actually have quite a large hangar, so we're probably going to go down 30 meters, I reckon. Should give us plenty of room into this mountainside, and then I can have a huge hangar. We can fit a whole bunch of rovers, a whole bunch of aircraft and whatnot in there. So we'll have a launching platform here. And then we're going to have our main structural base in this area here. So it might not be a bad idea to go from here. So if we go into our Control G, we can go into the block placement. So we're going to need light armor blocks, bases, we're going to need the interior blocks, which is under this new column here, and some beam blocks, probably blast doors wherever they are, use that for decoration. Okay, so need to, interestingly, the rotation actually doesn't follow the vehicle. I kind of like that. I can bring it closer or further. How far? You can place quite far in a vehicle. Do like that. So we're going with these blocks here, and how do I want to start this off? Probably don't want to build it directly onto the ground level, and the reason is if I leave some room underneath, that will give me space to place conveyoring. So what we're going to do is we're going to place them all like this. So what I need to do, actually I can, if I'm cheeky about this, what I can do is I can just turn my grinder on. So if I make a mistake, I can just drive forward and then cut it out. And hopefully not tear apart the whole rest of this as I'm going. It's going to be interesting placing in those corners. Oh, maybe I can just place them from above when I'm walking on it. So let's just place these along here. I can come down and see here. I think here is where we want to start building it down a little bit, and I'm thinking we could do something like this. It's nice being able to build from a flying perspective. Again, I had a distinct miss. I was distinctly missing that. And can go. I want it to kind of, match the snow here, so what we'll do is a base here, I think. Or actually, there is this piece, right? Yeah. But for now, my welder is basically out of power, and I think that's a good spot to end it for today. So let's go back into, just Control G. We've only got 5 minutes, so I've got to be nice and careful. Well, not really careful, but just quickly get onto this dock here. And now I can carry a whole bunch of components with this. Yeah, I'm very happy with this welder. It's a nice, unique design. I'm kind of sick of seeing all the perfectly symmetrical welding ships, and I wanted to definitely use something. Oh, I'll just hit the key button and hit recharge. And part of the decoration, I'll put some extra colour in here and some lights and whatnot so we can see all this stuff better. So that gravity align, you can see the option there, and it's even got some jettisoning options, and you can see that little power bar slowly filling up as the batteries recharge, so that's a useful thing. I think the icon on the right there is uranium, but the font is a little bit small, so it might be difficult for you to see, especially with YouTube's compression rate. But that will be that for today's episode, and that should be easy enough to hop into, because the industrial cockpit can be accessed from below. Yeah, so we'll turn off those thrusters. They don't need to be on. Excellent. So that's some good progress today, and I'll see you next week, and I'll upload this one on the weekend, and just let me know what works for everyone that's watching this. If you prefer it in the weekday or on the weekend, I don't mind. It's super flexible for me to upload. I can just only record on Tuesdays, really. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.